Only one room remains. The inn proprietor hesitated, glancing nervously between them. With the storm, every traveler in the county has stopped here for shelter. Then we shall share it, the Duke said calmly, as if he'd just suggested tea instead of something completely scandalous. Penelope Hartford stared at him. Absolutely not. Miss Hartford, be reasonable. The alternative is sleeping in the stable or continuing through a blizzard that's already killed 2 travelers this week. I'm offering you a warm room with a locked door and my word as a gentleman that you'll be perfectly safe. Your word as a gentleman means nothing if my reputation is destroyed. Your reputation will be destroyed if you freeze to death. At least this way you'll be alive to defend it. He turned to the innkeeper. We'll take the room and send up dinner for 2, please. Separate trays. The innkeeper nodded and hurried away, clearly relieved to have the decision made for him. Penelope wanted to argue further, but the truth was, she could barely feel her fingers. The blizzard had come out of nowhere, catching them between estates with nowhere to shelter, except this tiny inn that was now overflowing with stranded travelers. This is improper, she said as they climbed the narrow stairs. This is survival. There's a difference. He opened the door to reveal a small room with 1 bed, a fireplace, and a single chair. You take the bed, I'll take the floor. You're a duke. You can't sleep on the floor. I'm a man who slept in far worse places. The floor will be fine. He began removing his coat, which was soaked through despite the heavy fabric. Turn around while I change. I need to get out of these wet things before I catch pneumonia. Penelope turned to face the wall, her heart hammering. This was a disaster. She was trapped in a room with the Duke of Thornbury, the same Duke of Thornbury who'd been negotiating a marriage contract with her sister for the past 3 months. The same Duke her father expected would become family within the year. The same Duke she'd been secretly in love with since she was 16 years old. You can turn around now, he said. I'm decent. She turned to find him in dry clothes, hanging his wet coat by the fire. Without the formal attire, he looked younger, more approachable, still impossibly handsome. Your turn, he said. You need to get out of that wet dress before you catch your death. I can't undress with you in the room. Then I'll step into the hallway. But you're changing, Miss Hartford. That's not negotiable. He moved toward the door. I'll knock before I come back in. Take your time. He left, and Penelope quickly stripped off her wet dress, hanging it by the fire alongside his coat. She wrapped herself in the blanket from the bed, trying not to think about how inappropriate this all was, how ruined she'd be if anyone found out, how her sister would never forgive her. A knock at the door made her jump. I'm decent, she called. He entered carrying 2 trays of food. The innkeeper's wife is quite proud of her stew. She insisted I tell you it's her mother's recipe. They ate in awkward silence, Penelope acutely aware that she was wearing nothing but a chemise and a blanket, while sitting across from a duke who was supposed to marry her sister. Finally, unable to bear the tension any longer, she spoke. You should marry her, you know, Amelia. She's perfect for you. Perfect how? She's beautiful, accomplished, well-connected. Everything a duchess should be. And you? He set down his spoon. What are you? I'm the spare. The one nobody notices. The one who reads too much and says the wrong things at parties. The one who definitely shouldn't be trapped in a room with her sisters intended. That's what you think you are? That's what I know I am. Amelia is the diamond. I'm just... there. Background decoration. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, you're wrong. Excuse me? About being background decoration. I notice you, Miss Hartford. I've noticed you quite a bit, actually. Her heart stopped. What? At the garden party last month. You were reading under that big oak tree, completely absorbed in your book while everyone else was playing lawn games. I watched you for nearly an hour. You laughed 3 times at whatever you were reading, made notes in the margins, completely forgot to eat the sandwich on the plate beside you. You were watching me. I was supposed to be courting your sister, but I kept finding excuses to walk past that oak tree, to see what you were reading, to see if you'd smile again. You have the most extraordinary smile, by the way. When you're genuinely happy, it transforms your entire face. Penelope couldn't breathe. Why are you telling me this? Because you said nobody notices you. I wanted you to know that's not true. I notice you. I've been noticing you since the first dinner party your father hosted. You were arguing with Lord Pemberton about agricultural reform, and you were so passionate about it that you forgot to eat your soup. It got cold. You didn't even care. You just kept making your point about crop rotation and tenant welfare. That was 6 months ago. I know. I've been trying very hard not to notice you for 6 months. It hasn't worked. Before we continue, dear listener, Tell me, where are you listening to us right now? From the kitchen while preparing lunch? From the living room, taking a well-deserved break? Or perhaps from the bedroom, relaxing after a long day? Leave it in the comments. We love knowing you're here with us. And if you're enjoying this story, if the romance is touching your heart, please tap the like button right below. It helps us so much to continue bringing beautiful stories like this to you. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now. We have a new exciting story every week, waiting for you. Now, let's return to our story, because you will not believe what happens next. Penelope pulled the blanket tighter around herself. You're courting Amelia. You've been negotiating settlements with my father. You're going to marry her. Am I? He stood, moving to the window to look out at the blizzard. Your father approached me about marriage. He mentioned his eldest daughter. Beautiful, accomplished, perfect. I agreed to court her because that's what dukes do. We make strategic marriages to appropriate women. And Amelia is appropriate. Amelia is lovely. But she's not you. He turned to face her. Do you know what your sister and I talk about during our courtship walks? The weather, society gossip, superficial things that don't matter. We have nothing in common, no real connection. She smiles and says agreeable things, and I smile and say agreeable things, and we both pretend we're falling in love when we're really just going through the motions. Then why continue? Because breaking off a courtship causes scandal. Because your father is a powerful man who could make my business dealings difficult. Because it's easier to marry someone appropriate than to fight for what you actually want. He laughed bitterly. Or it was easier. Until I got trapped in a room with you and realized I can't keep pretending. You're going to break the courtship? I should have broken it months ago. Before I made your sister expect a proposal. Before I made this complicated. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm a coward, Miss Hartford. I saw what I wanted and chose the easier path instead. I'm not proud of that. Penelope's mind was racing. What do you want? You. I want you. I want to argue about agricultural reform and watch you forget to eat because you're so absorbed in making your point. I want to see you smile that real smile, the one you only show when you think nobody's watching. I want conversations that matter, connection that's real. He stopped. I want things I have no right to want, not when I've been courting your sister for months. So what happens now? Now I sleep on the floor like a gentleman. Tomorrow when the storm clears, I take you home and speak to your father. I break the courtship with Amelia as gracefully as possible, and then I leave you alone because you deserve better than a man who was too cowardly to pursue you from the start. And what if I don't want to be left alone? He went very still. What? What if I've been watching you too? At that garden party, I wasn't just reading. I was stealing glances at you every time you walked past, pretending I didn't notice when you found excuses to come near my tree. What if I've been hoping for 6 months that you'd stop courting my beautiful, perfect sister and notice me instead? Penelope, don't call me that. You don't have the right to use my first name. You're courting Amelia. You're supposed to marry her. And I'm supposed to smile and be happy for her and pretend my heart isn't breaking every time I see you together. Then let me earn the right. Let me fix this mess I've made. You can't fix it. Even if you break the courtship, even if you somehow convince my father not to murder you, Amelia will never forgive me. She's my sister, and I'll have stolen her intended. That's not something sisters forgive. Has she mentioned feelings for me? Real feelings, not just appropriate ones. Penelope thought about it honestly. No, she talks about you the way she talks about a particularly nice piece of jewelry. Something beautiful to show off. Something that proves her success, but not something she loves. Then maybe she'll understand, maybe nothing. This is impossible. You know it. I know it. We're trapped in a room by a storm and we're saying things we shouldn't say, and tomorrow everything will be complicated and awful, and I'll still be the spare daughter nobody notices. I notice you. You said that already. I'll keep saying it until you believe it. He crossed the room, stopping just out of reach. Penelope Hartford, you are not background decoration. You're the most fascinating woman I've ever met. You're intelligent and passionate and completely unaware of how extraordinary you are. And I'm going to fix this. Somehow I'm going to make this right. How? By breaking my sister's heart? Does she have one? To break, I mean. With regard to me specifically. It was an honest question and Penelope considered it honestly. No, I don't think she does. I think she's pleased about landing a duke, but I don't think she's in love with you. Then I'll speak to her first, privately. Give her the option to break it off herself, save her pride. Then I'll court you properly. Ask your father's permission. Do everything the right way, even if I'm doing it in the wrong order. And what if my father says no? What if Amelia is furious? What if you stop thinking of all the ways this could go wrong and consider that it might go right? I'm a realist, not an optimist. Then let me be optimistic for both of us. He smiled. Though I should warn you that I'm probably going to make a mess of this. I'm good at business and politics. Romance and courtship, less so. I'll likely say the wrong things and make tactical errors and generally embarrass myself, but I'll do it honestly. That's something, isn't it? Despite everything, Penelope smiled. That's something. They sat in silence for a while, the storm howling outside. Finally, he moved to arrange blankets on the floor near the fireplace. You should sleep, he said. We have a long day ahead tomorrow. I can't sleep. Too much has happened. Then talk to me. Tell me about the book you were reading at that garden party. The one that made you laugh 3 times. So she did. She told him about the satire she'd been reading, the clever observations about society. And he listened, really listened, asking questions and laughing at the parts she'd found funny. They talked until the fire burned low and her eyes grew heavy. Sleep now, he said gently. I promise I'll still be here in the morning. On the floor? On the floor. Where a gentleman belongs when he's sharing a room with a lady he's trying very hard not to fall more in love with. Is it working? The trying not to fall more in love part? Not even a little bit. And you, dear listener? What would you do in Penelope's place? Have you lived through something similar? Do you know someone who went through a situation like this? Tell your story in the comments. We read each one with affection and love knowing your experiences. And if this story is making you sigh, smile, or even shed a tear, share it with someone special. Think of that friend, sister, or daughter who would also love this journey. Send her the link. Love is meant to be shared, isn't it? But let's return because what is about to happen will leave you speechless. Penelope woke to sunlight streaming through the window and the sound of voices downstairs. The storm had passed. The Duke was already awake, dressed, standing by the window. Good morning, he said without turning around. The roads are being cleared. We should be able to leave within the hour. And then what? Then I do what I should have done months ago. I make this right. He finally turned to look at her. Are you brave enough to let me try? I'm terrified. Good, me too. We'll be terrified together. The journey home was tense and silent. Other travelers who'd been stranded at the inn whispered and stared. By the time they reached her family's estate, Penelope knew the gossip had already started. She'd been alone with the Duke overnight. Her reputation was ruined. Her father was waiting at the door, his face thunderous. Inside. Now, both of you. They followed him to his study, where Amelia was already waiting. She looked between them, her expression calculating. Well, she said, this is interesting. Amelia, I can explain, Penelope started. Can you? Explain how you ended up spending the night with my intended? Please, I'm fascinated. We were caught in the storm. There was only one room. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Amelia's voice was cold. You spent the night alone with the Duke of Thornbury and nothing happened. How very convenient. It's the truth, the Duke said. I slept on the floor. Your sister was perfectly safe. My sister. How gallant. Amelia turned to their father. Father, I think we need to discuss compensation. My reputation has been damaged by association. I believe a very generous settlement would be appropriate for the distress this has caused. Penelope stared at her sister. You don't care that he spent the night with me? You care about money. I care about not being humiliated. If you two want each other so badly that you orchestrated this scandal, fine. But I'm not walking away empty-handed. We didn't orchestrate anything, the Duke said. The storm was convenient, very convenient, as is your sudden interest in my unremarkable younger sister. Amelia smiled, and it wasn't kind. I'm not blind. I've seen the way you look at her, the way she looks at you. I just didn't think either of you was bold enough to act on it. You knew? Penelope felt sick. This whole time you knew? I suspected. But I was going to be a duchess, so I didn't care. Now, however, my prospects are ruined, and someone needs to pay for that. She turned to the Duke. £10,000 should do it, as a token of apology for the distress you've caused. Amelia! Their father looked shocked. That's extortion. That's business, Father. You taught me well. She smiled at the Duke. Do we have an agreement, Your Grace? The Duke looked at Amelia for a long moment. Then, no. I won't pay you for the privilege of ending a courtship that was never going to end in marriage anyway. You knew I didn't love you. I knew you didn't love me. We were both playing a game, and now the game is over. If you want to claim I jilted you, go ahead. Society will forget in a month, but I won't be blackmailed. Then I'll tell everyone that your precious Penelope seduced you, that she deliberately arranged this scandal to trap you into marriage. See how well that plays in society? You wouldn't, Penelope whispered. Try me. Amelia's eyes were hard. You wanted him? Fine. You can have him, but you'll both pay for making me look foolish. Enough. Their father's voice cracked like a whip. Amelia, leave us, now. But father. Now. Amelia left, slamming the door behind her. Their father looked between Penelope and the Duke, his expression weary. Tell me the truth, both of you. What happened at that inn? Nothing inappropriate, the Duke said. I give you my word. Your word means nothing if my daughter's reputation is destroyed. And it is destroyed. By morning, every gossip in London will know that Penelope spent the night alone with you. Her prospects are ruined. Unless, he looked at the Duke, unless you marry her. Father, no, Penelope said. I won't trap him into marriage. You're not trapping anyone. He compromised you. Whether intentionally or not doesn't matter. He owes you marriage. I don't want a marriage based on obligation. Then what do you want? Her father asked, exasperated. I want him to marry me because he chooses to, not because society demands it, not because it's the proper thing to do, because he actually wants to. Her father turned to the Duke. Well, do you want to marry her? Yes. I've wanted to marry her for months. I just went about it in the wrong way. He looked at Penelope. I know this is a disaster. I know I should have ended things with Amelia before any of this happened. But I'm asking anyway. Will you marry me? Not because you're compromised. Not because society demands it. But because I love you and I want to spend my life arguing with you about agricultural reform and watching you forget to eat because you're too absorbed in conversation. That's possibly the worst proposal I've ever heard, Penelope said, but she was smiling. It is terrible, isn't it? I told you I was bad at romance. He smiled back. But it's honest. That's worth something. It's worth everything. Is that a yes? That's a yes. Her father sighed. Thank God. Now get out, both of you. I need to figure out how to manage your sister before she tells all of London that you're a scheming seductress. They left the study and found themselves alone in the hallway. The Duke reached for her hand. I'm sorry, he said, for all of it. The courtship with Amelia, the months of pretending, the disaster this has become. Don't apologize. Just promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll never stop noticing me. I couldn't stop if I tried. You're impossible to ignore. He pulled her closer. Though I should warn you that married life with me will probably involve a lot of me making tactical errors and you correcting me. I'm very good at business, much less good at personal relationships. Then it's fortunate that I'm good at being honest. We'll balance each other out. We will. He kissed her then, tender and sweet, and Penelope felt every piece of her heart click into place. They were married 3 weeks later in a ceremony that was larger than either of them wanted but necessary to quell the gossip. Amelia attended, icy and beautiful, and left immediately after without speaking to either of them. Their father gave Penelope away with a mixture of pride and relief, and the Duke promised to love and cherish her for the rest of his life. The first year of their marriage was an adjustment. They argued frequently about everything from estate management to political philosophy. But they never went to bed angry. They always talked it through, even when it was difficult, especially when it was difficult. You're very stubborn, he told her one evening after a particularly heated debate about tenant housing. You're very arrogant, she replied. We're perfect for each other. We are. Somehow. Penelope discovered she had a talent for estate management that surprised everyone, including herself. She implemented new farming techniques that increased yields, improved housing for tenant farmers, established a school for the children of workers. The Duke supported every initiative even when his steward grumbled about costs. Your wife is unconventional, Your Grace, the steward said one afternoon. My wife is brilliant, the Duke corrected. And if you question her authority again, you'll find yourself looking for new employment. After the steward left, Penelope turned to her husband. You didn't have to defend me so forcefully. Yes, I did. You're my partner. Anyone who doesn't respect that doesn't belong here. He pulled her close. Besides, you were right about the housing improvements, as you usually are about such things. Usually. Not always. I said usually. Don't let it go to your head. But it did go to her head, a little. The confidence that came from being valued, from having her opinions heard and implemented, from being seen as an equal rather than an ornament. They had children eventually, 4 of them, each one as opinionated and passionate as their parents. The estate flourished under their joint management, and slowly people forgot about the scandal that had started it all. All they remembered was that the Duke of Thornbury had married the younger Hertford daughter after a storm and seemed surprisingly happy about it. Amelia eventually married a wealthy merchant, someone who valued beauty over substance and gave her the life of luxury she'd always wanted. She and Penelope never reconciled. Some wounds were too deep to heal, but Penelope made peace with it. She had her own life, her own family, her own happiness. She couldn't force her sister to forgive her. "Do you ever regret it?" the Duke asked her one evening, years into their marriage. "Losing your sister over me? I regret that it happened the way it did. I regret the pain it caused. But do I regret choosing you? Never. Even though it cost you your relationship with her, she made her choice too. She chose money and pride over understanding. I can't control that. I can only control my own choices." She looked at him. "And I choose you. Every day. I'd make the same choice 1,000 times over." Years later, at their 15th anniversary party, someone asked the Duke how he'd known Penelope was the right choice. "I didn't, at first," he said honestly. "I was courting her sister, doing the appropriate thing, following the expected path. But then I got trapped in a room with her during a blizzard and realized I'd been courting the wrong woman for months. Sometimes you need a storm to clear your vision." "And you?" someone asked Penelope. "When did you know?" "When he said he noticed me. Everyone else saw my sister. The beautiful one, the accomplished one, the appropriate one. He saw me, the one who read under trees and forgot to eat and argued too passionately about boring things. That's when I knew." They still told the story of the storm, how one room had changed everything, how scandal had become the best thing that ever happened to them, how sometimes the wrong path led exactly where you needed to be. "Do you regret it?" he asked her one evening as they sat by the fire in their private study. "The scandal, losing your sister, all of it. Do you?" "Not for a second, though I do regret taking so long to end things with Amelia. I should have done that before I fell in love with you. You couldn't have known. I should have known. Should have been braver. Should have chosen you from the start." He pulled her close. "But I'm choosing you now, every day, for the rest of my life. Good, because I'm rather attached to being chosen. It's become a habit." He laughed. "A good habit. The best." On their 25th anniversary, their children asked about the famous storm, the one that had started everything. What had really happened in that room? "We talked," Penelope said. "Your father told me he'd been noticing me for months, that he'd made a mistake courting the wrong sister, that he wanted to make it right. And then what? Then he slept on the floor like a gentleman while I slept in the bed. And in the morning, we went home and caused the scandal of the season. But you were happy. We were terrified. But yes, we were happy. Sometimes the best things start with being terrified together." The children accepted this, though they suspected there was more to the story. They were right. There was always more to the story. The fear and the hope and the moment when two people decided to be brave together. The choice to pursue love even when it was complicated and scandalous and wrong by society's standards. But that was their parents' story, private and precious. Something to be shared only in quiet moments when the world wasn't watching. Their marriage became a model for their children, a partnership of equals, mutual respect combined with genuine affection, arguments resolved through honest conversation rather than silent resentment. It wasn't always easy, but it was always real. "You argue a lot," their eldest daughter observed one afternoon, having witnessed a particularly spirited debate about land management. "We discuss," Penelope corrected. "There's a difference." "It sounds like arguing." "That's because we both care passionately about the outcome. Your father respects my opinion enough to challenge it. I respect his enough to defend mine. That's what partnership looks like. It's loud, sometimes, but it's never cruel. We never attack each other. We attack the problem." She smiled. "Your father taught me that." "Well, we taught each other, really. It took some practice." The daughter thought about this. "So when I marry, I should find someone who argues with me. You should find someone who respects you enough to engage with your ideas. Someone who sees you as an equal. Someone who chooses you every day, not just once." Penelope looked at her daughter seriously. "Don't settle for someone who simply agrees with everything you say. That's not respect. That's indifference." Years passed. Children grew and married and had children of their own. The estate continued to thrive under their stewardship, and through it all, the Duke and Penelope remained devoted to each other in ways that surprised even them. "I'm old," he complained one morning, his joints stiff from a lifetime of work. "You're distinguished," she corrected. helping him to his feet. I'm gray and creaky and probably should have retired from active management years ago. You're experienced and wise and still as stubborn as the day I met you. She kissed his cheek. And I still notice you. Every day. That's the nicest thing you've said to me all week. I told you yesterday that your idea about the new irrigation system was brilliant. That was about work. This was about me. There's a difference. She laughed. There is. And I notice you. Still. Always. When the Duke died at 78, peaceful and content, Penelope held his hand and remembered that blizzard. The moment everything changed. The choice they'd both made to be brave. Thank you, she whispered, for noticing me, for choosing me, for loving me exactly as I was. She lived another 5 years, long enough to see all her grandchildren grown and settled, long enough to tell the story one last time, the real story, the complete story, to her youngest granddaughter who'd just fallen in love with someone completely inappropriate. Chase it, Penelope said, even if it's scandalous, even if it's complicated, even if everyone says it's wrong, because the alternative is a life of wondering what if, and that's worse than any scandal. But grandmother, what if it doesn't work out? Then at least you tried. At least you were brave. At least you chose love instead of convenience. She smiled. Your grandfather and I started with a storm and one room and a choice to be honest about what we wanted. It was terrifying. It was scandalous. It was the best decision we ever made. Did you ever regret it? Losing your sister? I regretted the way it happened, the pain it caused, but the choice itself? Never. I chose love over convenience, honesty over propriety, partnership over perfection, and I'd make that choice again in a heartbeat. Her last words, spoken to her eldest son who sat vigil beside her bed, were simple. Tell them the real story, not the scandal, the choice. Tell them we chose each other, every day. That's what matters. And he did. At her funeral, he told the story of the storm, the one room, the choice two people made to be brave together, the love that grew from honesty and mutual respect, the partnership that lasted a lifetime. They were terrified, he said, but they were terrified together, and that made all the difference. We're almost reaching the end of this exciting journey. But if you love the romance of Penelope and the Duke, I have wonderful news. We have dozens of other stories waiting for you here on the channel. Breathtaking historical romances, heartwarming second chances, unlikely loves that seem impossible until they happen. Each story more exciting than the last. After finishing this one, scroll down and check out our playlists. I'm sure you'll find your next favorite story. And don't forget, activate the notification bell. That way you receive an alert whenever we publish a new story. Because let's be honest, you already know you'll want the next one, right? Now yes, let's get to the moment you were waiting for, the ending your heart asked for. And so ends the story of Penelope and the Duke of Thornbury, a journey about storms, that clear vision, about choosing the right person even when it's complicated, about being brave enough to pursue love when society says you shouldn't, about one room that changed two lives forever, about partnership built on mutual respect and honest communication, about choosing each other every day, not just once. I hope this story touched your heart as much as it touched mine bringing it to you. If it moved you, if you sighed, if you smiled along with our characters, leave your like. It motivates us to continue. And tell us in the comments, what was your favorite moment? What touched you most? We want to know. Each comment is read with affection. Are you missing it already? Don't worry. We have a new story coming very soon. Subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss it. And while you wait, explore our channel. We have so many other beautiful stories waiting for you. Thank you so much for your company, for choosing to spend this time with us, for opening your heart to one more love story. Until the next journey, dear listener, may your heart always be open to love, to hope, and to the good moments life reserves for us. A warm hug, and see you soon.